Tuesdays with Murray, Chapter 2. I was at work when my coworker Dave said to me, "Girls from the Pol testified at UN they traded sex for food. Look at the headline on this newspaper. Geez, what kind of planet are we living on?" Apparently one where your coworker Dave talks to you over a cubicle wall with a mouthful of bagel, or you're trading sex for food in a third world country. There is no in between. If the internet didn't come back on in the next hour, I wouldn't be able to get a report to a client on time, and then I'll be trading sex for food. Could I trade sex for the internet? Dave continued, "I mean, it's terrible, but honestly, when you think about it, how is that any different from dating? What's the dinner date? What other reason besides sex would I be buying someone I just met dinner? I could buy myself 2 dinners." He paused. "God, I'm so fat." Long before I started working here, Dave went through a bitter divorce that left him permanently soured. He went on a lot of dates with women he met online, even though he didn't seem to enjoy them. I don't know how he pulled it off. His profile pic must have used one hell of a filter. He was short, fat, and all of his clothes looked older than he was, like he was some kind of sloppily dressed time traveler. He probably got a lot of dates because of his full head of hair. Hair people have it so easy. A woman has to consider me somewhat funny or charming or just have a bald fetish. Dave was more overqualified for this job than an astronaut driving a school bus. Each day he got in early, finished his work by 10, and would spend the rest of his day complaining about his ex-wife or the number of conference calls he'd be sitting in on. "I'm coming over," he shouted. I could see the top of his hair women find so irresistible bounce over the top of this wall like a styled brown rock skipped across water. I knew that any second he'd be looking at me with his bitter eyes that looked like the rings on desks left from coffee mugs. Dave and I bonded over a love of Bill Murray movies and SNL skits from the 70s, even though he saw them on TV when they aired and I watched them in clips online. He was the only one in the office that I was friends with on Facebook, partially because I liked him, but mostly because I had to show him how to set up his account. Everyone else here I lied to about not having an account. I mean, it wasn't anything personal, but I figured no good could come from giving my coworkers a window or web browser tab into my private life. "You have coffee on your shirt," he said to me. "I know. I've had a shit morning." "Well, wearing coffee isn't going to make it any better. You couldn't have changed your shirt? Isn't it enough for you millennials that you don't have to wear ties to the office?" "Thanks, Dad." I took offense to being lumped in with the general population of millennials, the same way Star Wars fans get lumped in with incels. My mom didn't come on my job interview, and I don't think it's a human rights violation that my office doesn't have a foosball table and a smoothie bar. Although if I got either one, I wouldn't complain. Having been born in the mid-'80s, I'm right on the cusp of Gen Y, like the difference between an unemployed house guest and a homeless friend living on a couch. Dave spotted the bird crack house atop my filing cabinet, and he said, "What is that? Is that one of those bird crack houses? Those are really tough to get. You must have paid a fortune for those." He had just finished eating a donut, and he was licking powdered sugar off his fingers. As a recovering germaphobe, always in remission, watching him do this is like the slaughterhouse video that turns someone vegan. Where the F is my hand sanitizer? "You heard of these?" How was I the only one that hadn't heard of these? I invented them. This would be like Thomas Edison having never heard of the phone. That's right, I'm like Edison. "Yeah, if I had a place to hang one, I'd get one. My wife got all the trees in the divorce." He was looking at this with admiration. You know when people say, "I don't know if this makes me feel better or worse"? I felt worse. "You know, I invented these," I told him. "What?" he said in disbelief. "I did. Did he not think I was capable? Did he not see all of the degrees my parents had framed as graduation gifts hanging on the gray felt wall behind my chair? I'm practically a certified genius. Back when I was a kid, whenever I stayed home from school, commercials for companies that would patent ideas ran during the daytime game shows I would watch. If unemployed adults watching The Price is Right had ideas worth patenting, why couldn't I? I'm like Edison. You're kidding me. You're not kidding me. I could tell. I could tell by that look in your eyes. You son of a... You made these? You must be making a fortune. No wonder why you're wearing coffee-stained shirts into the office. Are you quitting? Well, drinks on you after work." He clapped and rubbed his hands together. I could not share in his enthusiasm any more than I could Beth Benedict's. Well, no, that's just it. I came up with the idea, but someone else made them, I confessed. What? Someone stole your idea? Who? Who was it? A woman? I bet it was a woman. These women, they think everything is theirs, theirs, theirs. They're all the same. Never ends. So you got nothing out of this. 9 a.m. was too early for Dave to be turning redder than the frosting he was still licking off his fingers. Seriously, where is my hand sanitizer? Well, I got a birdhouse, I told him. Well, that's more than I got in the divorce. My ex-wife gets half my paycheck to maintain the quality of life she'd become accustomed to. If she was so accustomed to it, why'd she divorce me? I was accustomed to not living in a studio apartment in Jersey, but you don't see me complaining. Do you know why divorces are so expensive, Will? Because they're worth it. I had heard this one before. Yes, because they're worth it. I'm glad you've been listening. Man, it's too bad you're not getting any money off of these. I mean, these things are selling like hotcakes. People with their honesty. Where's my good news, friend? It's like I need to start eating fortune cookies to get any positive feedback in my life. He continued to look over the birdhouse. What are those kids selling? What kids? I asked. Those kids in the window with the red for sale signs. Are they selling lemonade? I sighed. Oh no. It's the kids that are for sale. They're being sold for crack. I put my head in my hands, fitting since the idea started there and millions of dollars had since slipped through them. Man, kids being sold for crack. That's clever and dark. Clever and dark. You invented these? God, I had no idea you were so clever. I mean, that stuff you put on Facebook, it's funny. But where's the money in that? This, though, this is $1 million idea right here. You know what you need to do? You need to sue. You need to sue this woman. Then the drinks will be on you. My son, he's a lawyer, and he's good. And I'm not just saying that because he's my son. Oh, no. He was raised with accountability. Growing up, I threw out his participation trophies. My wife used him when we were divorced. So you know he's good. Dave looked a combination of frustrated and optimistic, like me opening a Capri Sun. Behind every great idea, there's probably 20 lazy people who had it first, watching The Price is Right instead of patenting their idea, but we can't all sue. So I asked him, how can I sue her? I gave her the idea. You what? Why'd you give her such a great idea, he asked. I didn't know it was a great idea. I just gave her my 2 cents, I told him. Well, that 2 cents cost you millions. Let me just say, the next time you want to give away your 2 cents, don't forget who sits behind you. At this rate, I'll take your 1 cent. Dave said I couldn't make any money with my Facebook posts, but isn't that what Mark Zuckerberg does every day? Why should he be the only one? People are always telling me my posts are funny. I made a book out of them. I had finished it months ago and never did anything with it. Why? Because Ted was right. I never follow through on things. I had a copy in my desk, buried under more direct deposit slips every 2 weeks like dirt tossed on a coffin. Before long, there would be more slips on top of that book than pages in it. Dave returned to his cubicle when Brittany, the blonde office manager with Pilates arms and yoga pants, delivered an inter-office envelope to me. She said, "The intern brought me this empty envelope and said it was from you. Did you forget to put something in here, or is he just as stupid as he is cute?" Coming up with things for the intern to do was one of the hardest parts of my job. My job isn't that hard. No, sorry, I just have him deliver empty envelopes. Don't tell him, though. He thinks he's doing great. I mean, technically he is. He got the envelope. It's not his fault it's empty. Wow, said Brittany. I wonder if that's what I did at all my internships. It would explain how I wound up here. This isn't your dream job? I asked sarcastically. Like, at this point in my life, I thought I'd be married, rich, and have children. And I have kids, and I'm married. I guess what I really wanted to be was rich, she said. She shrugged her shoulders. This is depressing. I'm going to go get a donut. Maybe I'll stick one in an envelope and have the intern bring it over to you, Will. She smiled and she left. Was she flirting with me? How old do I have to be before I know if women are flirting with me? I know she's married, but maybe they have an open thing. Open relationship is a choice on Facebook. People must be in them. Maybe because I only talk to Dave around here, she thinks I'll keep it quiet. What does it say about me that the only reason I think a woman will sleep with me is because no one will find out? Dave had gotten up and re-entered my cubicle eating a bagel and holding another one wrapped in white wax paper. his top button undone, and his tie unloosened. He said to me, "They gave me 2 at the deli this morning. Want this one? This free bagel would be the highlight of my day, I'm sure." "Are you trading it for sex?" I asked. "Are you a girl from Nepal?" he responded. The intern came over and handed me copies I didn't want or need, but I took them because I told him to copy a menu 100 times. He said, "Look, I just want to say I know I'm peacing out of here soon, but I'm really impressed by you. Like, I don't know how you have all these face-to-face conversations all day. Text is mad easy, but here, having to use full sentences and stuff, coming up with shit to say on the spot, I mean, damn, am I right?" That compliment started out a lot more positive than it finished. But when you're talking to someone from a generation who at no point in his life was more useful than a phone, what could you expect? From birth, he was taught to fear peanuts in school as much as guns. And the worst part, social media took away the most gratifying reason to graduate high school, having people from high school gone from your life forever. Now he's working what was once an entry-level job for free, on the prowl for co-eds at night, and real-world experience by day. I couldn't remember his name. He looked like a Jeff or a Mike, or something as plain and generic as the khakis he wore with a white-collared shirt to our office on the 2 days a week he'd share my cubicle. The intern telling me that I was good at using full sentences and stuff was the first positive on-the-job critique that came unscheduled. He probably liked me because when I was supposed to take him out to lunch and explain what his responsibilities would be, we played a game I learned studying abroad in Korea. You put a napkin on top of a glass of beer and a quarter on top of the napkin. Then with a cigarette, you burn a hole in the napkin, and whoever caused it to break and the quarter to fall into the glass had to down the beer. Looking back on it, it was all I learned studying abroad. I suck at chopsticks, I can't speak Korean, I can't cook rice, and sometimes I forget which half of Korea we're supposed to hate. I don't even remember the name of the game. Tuition well spent. Today the intern sat across from my desk, flipping through his iPhone and laughing to himself, stopping only to look up and ruin my day when he said, "Hey, I read your book." I only had one book at work, the one that I wrote, so I knew, but I had to ask. "What book?" "Your Facebook book." "Why'd you read it?" Boundary issues were a likely byproduct of living with 12 college guys in a 4-bedroom house. "It's a book. What else was I supposed to do with it? Also, this place has Facebook blocked on the computers, so this was kind of like a substitute." "I fucking loved it." "Sorry, I shouldn't be cursing in an office." "You loved it?" The same way Dave loved the Bird Crack House, this made me feel worse. "Yeah, and I hate books. Everything they made us read in high school had some gay life lesson." "Gay, like they loved the books of the same gender?" The message was lost on him, like explaining to your mom why you needed to upgrade your phone every year. "What was that one thing you wrote? Being a charming white male just isn't the free ride it was back in the 50s? Hashtag off to work." "Dude, I stole that and made it my status update," he told me. I could have sworn I deleted that one from my book, but as he sat there and I heard my words leaving his mouth, my stomach knotted up like a balloon animal. "So like, what are you going to do with it? You should make it an ebook. I bet you could make a ton of money self-publishing this thing. There's a guy who makes $10,000 a month just putting pictures of drunk girls eating bananas on Instagram." Account manager Bernadette came over, bringing with her a strong aroma of perfume and carrying her baby, since her sitter had called out sick. She was wearing another one of her form-fitting white pantsuits that made her look like a loaf of bread with a curly red perm. "What aren't you publishing?" she asked. "What isn't Will publishing, rublishing," she said to the baby in her arms. "He wrote a Facebook book," said the intern. "Will's not on Facebook," she replied in the same baby talk she sung to her baby with. "He's too cool for Facebook." "Yes, he is. Yes, he is." Was the office on fire, or was I? My body temperature rose so much I could feel my insides melting. If only real life had a privacy setting. Dr. Seuss never had to put up with this shit. "No, he's on Facebook. He wrote a book of all his status updates. It's hilarious. There was one, 'Why do fat people put up memes about eating healthy? Isn't their picture enough to be reminded?'" Bernadette looked offended, and either because I lied to her about being on Facebook, or because her size led me to believe she put up memes about eating healthy. "I just joined," I told her. "You just joined? Dude, you've got like 1,000 posts in that book." Was he an intern or a whistleblower? As she walked away and towards a group of coworkers, I assumed she was telling them that I had lied to them all about being on Facebook. Their looks in my direction only confirmed this, as did the visits throughout the day to my desk with questions like, "Why did you lie about being on Facebook? Why is this a big deal? We're not real friends. Why do we have to be friends online?" Next, my boss entered my cubicle while I was posting something to Facebook, when I should have at least been pretending to be working. "Will," he said dryly, "I'd like to have a word with you. Follow me into my office." He walked away, leaving a bad feeling in his wake. I got up, and I hustled to catch up to him, forgetting to turn off my monitor and hoping that no one would see I had a YouTube video up of someone beating Mario real fast. Walking through a hallway created by cubicle walls, I followed him into his office. His was a real office. It had a door, walls that reached the ceiling. He had a window that looked directly at bricks of another building, close enough to touch. Not ideal, but it was still a window at least. The walk felt like it would be my last employed one here. But maybe I was just paranoid. He hadn't asked me to close the door. What am I worried about? After all, I do my job, and I use full sentences and stuff. "Will, could you close the door?" Fuck, I thought. These conversations are never easy, but sometimes these things are for the best. "What things?" I asked. I knew what things. The way Babe Ruth could call his home runs, I could call my failures. And I was 3 seconds away from being fired. I think it is in the best interest for all of us if we ended our professional relationship now. I always knew I didn't give a shit about this job, and being fired from it only confirmed it. It felt freeing. Finally, I could travel. I could relax. I could now do exactly what I wanted to do, even if I had no idea what that was. And I could do it whenever I wanted. Wait, what the hell is wrong with me? The human body is an outdated machine. My survival mechanism should have been firing off, grabbing me, smacking me, and screaming, "Hey, you have next to no money saved to keep yourself alive." I asked my boss, "Why am I being fired?" I shouldn't have been looking for reasons. I should have been groveling to stay here. I stood there while he sat behind his desk, behind a gold nameplate, sitting upon a bulletproof desk blotter. He said, "The other day my son told me you had written some kind of book. So I wondered, who are you, really? Do you want to be working here or out writing books in some makeshift opium den like a beatnik? Do you want to be a beatnik, Will?" "What's a beatnik? Wait, who's your son?" "Will," he replied. "Yes," I asked. "No, my son." "Will. He told me you wrote a book about Facebook." Who the hell was Will, I wondered. "The intern, my son that you got drunk on the first day at the office who's always delivering empty envelopes." Is that a problem? Everyone here is on Facebook. It's only a problem when you lead people to believe that you're not on it. Makes me wonder what you're hiding. Our cubicles allow for the free flow of ideas. The only thing flowing over these cubicles is streamed music and Dave's anti-marital advice. He continued. At first, I was excited to see Will reading. He never reads. I give him $1,000 for a book each semester, but whenever I visit him up at that school, they all look brand new. But then, when he started reading that millennial claptrap that came out of your book, I knew you weren't the kind of employee we could have around here. I mean, look at you. You're practically covered in coffee. Where's your pride? Who knew that the coffee I needed to get to work would be the end of me? Couldn't believe the intern would outlast me here. I couldn't believe he was his son. I couldn't believe his name was Will. There was a lot about that intern that I could not believe. But, believe it or not, I was fired. Maybe he was right. Maybe some things aren't easy, but sometimes they're for the best. I'm free. I can do whatever I want now. This could be the greatest moment of my life, one that sets into motion everything that I was meant to become. Again, what the hell am I talking about? This isn't for the best. I can barely afford my rent now. Now I have to afford it without a job? For the best? Who do I think I am? One of those women from the Lifetime TLC movies who finds themselves after a divorce from meditating and having random sex? This is terrible. I've already found myself. What I found isn't that good, and it's as good as it's getting. And random sex. I'm 35. All my sex is planned and calculated, like a space launch. This is terrible. I'm going to be homeless, or worse. I'll have to move back in with my parents. College doesn't prepare you for being fired. College lets you stay there as long as you're paying. In my imagination, I always imagined being fired as something really dramatic, with a slow walk towards the exit, holding back tears and a box of possessions that I had collected from the inside of my desk drawers. But it wasn't like that at all. There was no box of possessions. When I pulled my USB phone charger from the computer tower, it was like life support, terminating my relationship here with my employer. How could I have nothing to bring home? This is the only job I've had since college. I said a few goodbyes. A few people said, let's stay in touch. But how? We're not friends on Facebook. It would seem weird to become friends with them now. What the fuck was I supposed to do? Maybe this was meant to happen. I have my book. Maybe I could sell it. Even if 10 people bought it for $1, I'd have $10. It's more than I'm making now. Fuck. I am fucked. What if Dave's right? What if there is no money in one-liners from Facebook? What if the one good idea I had was the Bird Crack House? The one that I gave away for free? The one that I would have done nothing with? The one that I didn't even know I came up with? I was in the lobby for the last time giving my keys to the security guard. After he took them, I put my hand on the glass door and I heard my boss behind me. Will, wait. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe I wouldn't be fired. You forgot this. And he handed me my Bird Crack House. Thanks, I told him. These are great. We have 4 between all of our vacation homes. You would not believe the way the birds just flock to this thing. And they come with a lifetime guarantee. He turned around. I went home.